7 o'clock or something. They made it over.
And I was just like, oh, man, yeah, it's. And if you try to search anything, you get political things. Yeah, they say, it's just like, oh,
On the corner.
Netflix. Can't stand seeing any commercials.
so the TV that we have, we can get channels from examples from Milwaukee. And man, you switch to Milwaukee and there's commercial. It's just, it's great. It's twice as many as Minnesota. Oh, twice as many.
I'll start watching TV again next week, maybe.
Yeah. Well, and I want to know who the right guy was that decided to do the open enrollment for Medicare at the same time as the voting. Because all you get is commercials for, you know, political stuff or open enrollment. For
Okay. 9 o'clock. So it calls to the Land Use and Information Committee meeting for November 5th, 2024 to order. Notice has been posted in accordance with Wisconsin statute 19.84 open meeting law. At this point in the meeting, we have public comments for anyone who wishes to address an issue that is not going to come up with a public hearing on the agenda. Do we have any public comments at this time? No one's online or on the phone or anything like that. Okay.
I've got public comment.
Oh, okay.
Going back to like last month for when people sign permits that you sign away your property rights. I've been doing a little bit of looking at this and I feel that when people are signing that permit, you know, they're basically being blackmailed into either you sign it for legal, you know, to me, a legal search of your property so they can go after you and fine you. And it gets to be like government overreach, abuse of office, government office and stuff, and that's, you know, government overreach or abuse of power in office, that's a class 1 felony. I believe that the county is doing with doing this. Going against our 1st, 4th, and 8th amendments and the constitutional rights for excessive fines and stuff. And there needs to be, you know, anything that goes against our constitutional rights, it needs to be null and void, because that's the way it is. Our constitution overrides anything that goes against ordinances and stuff that goes against our constitutional rights. So we need to go over stuff and get rid of stuff. There's getting to be too much government overreach, I feel. That is we the people need to have limited government. There needs to be rules and stuff, but not excessive ones. That's about all I got at the moment.
That's okay. It's not something to debate, just a comment for today.
Yep.
Okay. Any other?
I want to comment on Lee's remarks there. I will say in talking to individuals regarding our building permits and so on and so forth. I have heard of instances where people didn't get permits because they were afraid of having their place ransacked or gone through because there may be infractions on their property that they had nothing to do with to start with. So I mean, maybe there is some room there to ease that up a little bit, because I think the building permit process, Jason would tell me if this was true. You have to open up your property basically for inspection of every part of it, even if you want to build a simple garage. So I don't know that I totally agree with opening up the whole property to search for violations. So is that what you mean, Lee?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think, again, it's something for a separate occasion for discussion, but I get the comment. Okay,
So, right.
anything further? Okay, hearing none. So, move to approve the agenda order.
Move.
Motion by Supervisor Tucker to approve the agenda. Is there a second? Second by Supervisor Anderson, Chuck Anderson. All in favor? Done. No. The approval of the minutes of the October 1st, 2024 meeting.
Motion to approve the minutes.
Motion to approve by Supervisor Homberg, second.
Second.
Supervisor Szymanski. Discussion, I have something to bring up on this one. And it's not an error, it is just an order of things that happened in the gravel pit, Three Brothers permit application. Supervisor Tucker made a motion to deny and a reason. We discussed it further, then I amended Supervisor Tucker's motion, offered an amendment to add some things in order to fulfill the standards for a denial that would be solid. And in the minutes, they're slightly reversed. When you read them, I fear someone may think we first denied it, then we went back and amended it, and it isn't what we did. So we need to reverse the paragraph, but just add motion to deny by Supervisor Tucker. And before the vote, motion to amend that I offered to add those things. And it just is a correction of the order of the sequence. And we didn't amend the conditional use, we amended the motion. So we need to add the word in the second paragraph. Motion to amend Supervisor Tucker's motion to deny conditional use permits you know, that's what actually happened.
Yep.
And again, I'm not concerned about it from an issue of challenge or anything, but we don't want it to read like we did it incorrectly.
Yeah, in reading the minutes before, last night, I would agree totally. I read that and I kind of took a double take on it, and I'm glad you brought it up.
So, and I think we've discussed it, Tanya and I've discussed it, she understands what we need to correct. So with that correction, any further discussion on any of the other parts of the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? And then one more thing on this, and it wasn't part of the minutes, but I want to make a correction of a misstatement I made. When I was talking about the need to have the file complete for the public scrutiny before the meeting, I cited Kramer as the case law, and it's Weber. My mental legal library misfired. But and Jason now has the reference to the Weber law. If anybody wants it, we can forward it to the committee. But it is a case about a gravel pit also, but it had to do with plans coming in right at the meeting, and it's not acceptable for the public to not know what's going on. So, but just wanted to make that correction. It's on the tape, it's not on the minutes itself, but it's for the sake of clarity and making everybody understand why we do that. So
For the benefit of the clerk and maybe for the rest of us, is Weber spelled with 2 B's or 1?
it's just one, I believe.
Okay, thank you.
It's been a couple of weeks since I went back and double checked, but I found, oh crap, I need the wrong one. Anyway, okay, with that, on to the public hearing. Jason, do you want to read the notice?
Notice of public hearing, state of Wisconsin, County of Burnett, Tuesday, November 5th, 2024 at 9 a.m. at the Burnett County Government Center in room 165, Town of Meeting, Cyber, Wisconsin, regarding the following Burnett County Land Use Shoreline Protection Ordinances. So number 1, conditional use permit CUP 2423 Stead or Steed. That one, they rescinded their application, so that one's no longer on the docket today. Number 2, map amendment MAP 2409 J&A Custom Homes and Rentals LLC to rezone the south half of the northeast quarter, section 29, town 39 north, range 16 west. Parcel with tax ID 32963 located in the town of Meeting from RR2 residential recreation and C1 commercial to all C1 commercial zoning district. Zoning change requested by Jesse Smith. Number 3, conditional use permit CUP 2424 Sohm. Public notice hereby given to all persons, town of Grantsburg, Burnett County, Wisconsin, that David Sohm has made an application for a conditional use permit per the terms of the Burnett County Land Use and Shoreline Protection Code of Ordinances to operate a home occupation business of a gunsmith located at 24211 Borg Road in the A2 zoning district in the northeast quarter, except the north 435 feet thereof, section 10, town 38 north, range 19 west. Number 4, map amendment MAP 2410 Conan. to rezone the north half of the southwest quarter, the northeast quarter, and section 28, town 40 north, range 14 west, town of Scott, from RR3 residential recreation to A2 agricultural residential zoning district. Zoning change requested by Chris and Corey Conan. Number 5, conditional use permit CUP 2425 Long Lake Mobile Home Community LLC. Public notice hereby given to all persons in the town of Siren, Burnett County, Wisconsin, that Eric Mintosh, on behalf of Long Lake Mobile Home Community LLC, has made an application for a conditional use permit per the terms of the Burnett County Land Use and Shoreline Protection Code of Ordinances to modify the size of the parcel for the manufactured home community from 61 or 55 acres, there was a dispute on how many acres it was, to 29.2 acres on Clemenson Drive in the RR1 zoning district, government law 2, except CSM volume 1, page 247, section 17, town 38 north, range 16 west. Number 6, conditional use permit CUP 2426 Dauble. Public notice hereby given to all persons in the town of Follett, Burnett County, Wisconsin, that Jeff Dauble has made an application for a conditional use permit per the terms of the Burnett County Land Use and Shoreline Protection Code of Ordinances to allow a camping unit for up to 3 years on the parcel located at 4646 Whitetail Path in the RR1 zoning district, lot 3, CSM, volume 25, page 26, section 9, town 38 north, range 15 west.
There.
Yes.
So first, then we will not be doing the 24-23 one. Did they withdraw it entirely? Not a delay or postponement?
Correct, yep.
Any motion to accept their withdrawal?
I don't think so. I mean, they sent an email and it was in writing that they wanted to rescind their application, so.
That's, yeah, get to the hearing, we don't need to take
Yep.
action. Okay. So the map rezoning request for doing a custom homes and rentals, will come forward with that. Here to represent that one. Doesn't look like it. That is the one that we have a DOT.
Yeah, we got an email from DOT that there's access, that they need to share access with the neighbor, that they can't have their own access.
Let's get that before the committee, just so we can take some action on this later. Here. When I read through that, it appears that they have to make some arrangement. Is it they don't have a commercial access, or is it an access at all?
They don't have an access at all. It's supposed to be shared with the, I think it says the neighbor, is it to the north? A piece of paper. They need to work with the property owner to the north to obtain easement or relocate the access to serve the 3 parcels that are accessed off a singular point under the access control law.
So, and as I recall, DOT's email also mentioned something to the effect of that this should have come up in a title review when they purchased the property. Apparently they weren't aware of this flaw. Don't know that, just speculating. But obviously we can't proceed because they don't have access here. They have to resolve that. So my thinking was, even had they been here, that we would want to postpone, give them an opportunity to get this clarified. And would be nice if they were here for that. I'm kind of reluctant to recommend dismissing or denial of unresolved issue. Give them some opportunity to try to straighten it out.
They gotta figure out if they got an easement off of that other driveway, or they gotta.
They have to somehow gain one, it sounds like.
Okay.
And that is sort of like letting somebody have a moat and a bridge and pay you to cross it, but still, it is what it is. It's DOT is gonna give them an access independent of what's already planned for in the right-of-way plan. So it's unusual. I've not seen this happen like this before, but
I don't think it's right that the DOT can deny somebody access to their property.
no, they can because of public safety issues and spacing of driveways and all that stuff that they regulate, you know? But why it is like that is a mystery to me. I would be interested in hearing the person's side of this. I think it's a new owner though, which is another complication, right?
Right.
And so in any event, anything further we should do with that, Jason, you can think of? I think maybe a motion to postpone it to a date certain, like maybe January. And if we don't hear anything from them at that time, then maybe we'll dismiss it. But for now, I don't wanna make them move and find that they're in the process of, getting this straightened out. It may be that they're forcing the seller to take the property back. That's what I would be trying to do, but it hasn't happened yet, to the best of our knowledge. Bring them a gunny sack full of money and see if they can get an easement. Yeah, you know what I'm saying though.
Right.
I think something like that is probably what we should do. Any further discussion about that?
Yeah, I wouldn't want you to do it for December, cause I would wanna renotice it as a public hearing, so yeah, if you could do January, then I could
January
get it
would be the
noticed.
earliest, I think, you know, and we could, maybe we should try for January, and if you hear something from them in the meantime and they need for more time, we can extend it at that time. I don't like to kick a can down the road forever and leave it on a docket, you know.
I'll send them an email today and say, hey, they postponed it till January, you know, what's going on, or.
We're giving you the benefit of the doubt, you know. That sound good?
Yep.
Yeah, entertain such a motion by someone?
I'll make a motion that we postpone rezone request MAP 24-29 to the January land use meeting.
Second.
Second, we have a motion by Supervisor Aqua Anderson, seconded by Supervisor Blumberg. Any further discussion? Somebody from the,
You're not talking about the one across from Mina Town Hall.
Mm-hmm.
You are?
Yep.
I'm the neighbor to the north.
oh, okay. I didn't open the public hearing because I didn't think we should proceed. But I will, if you want to make a comment, we'll take it.
Yeah, I'd rather not share my driveway. I think it's kind of a bad spot. This driveway would probably be just north of the lot that the town hall is on. Every year I see bears come through there with their babies. It's almost like a trail. You know,
Well, but
disrupting wildlife.
understand. I think we'll take your comment. Would you get your name for the record, please? Your name for the minutes for the record.
Oh. Yeah. So my name's Steve, that was
So
EVBEN.
we'll take that testimony you offered since you're here, but we're not gonna do anything more with this today. Because we always want to have the applicant
So the,
present, you
you
know.
know, delay it because he doesn't have access.
We're gonna delay it because we want to know what's going on, you know, frankly. And if you're not gonna give him access, you know, then he's not gonna get access probably, okay? I don't know that though, so.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's not the best area to put another.
Well, understand that to be fair to everybody, the applicant's not here. We can't hear what happened on this. So we want to postpone it, but you made your statement and we have that on the record. And then if you want to come back, you know, I'll take another one too.
It'll be in the paper and give him notice again.
You'll get a notice again by mail and everything. Okay. Charlie, did you want?
I'm also a neighbor to the north of this property,
Okay,
and I have the same feelings. He has access to Highway 35 now. If it's up, means he has to upgrade that driveway. You know, why does he want to push it off on Kruger Road?
but I should say technically, and then I want to make an amendment to what I just said. Technically, I'm opening the public hearing so that you two guys can both speak. And you both have expressed objections. And because I should have, that was an error on my part. I should have asked if anyone was here for that before I decided not to open a public hearing. So retroactively. We opened the public hearing so the public could address it. And you both are no interest in providing an access. You're on the record with that. We still will do that in the interest of fairness to the applicant, to notify them that we want to know what's up with that. And if they say, no, we're not doing it, then we'll just dismiss this in January. But until we hear both sides, we aren't going to take any action today. So, okay. Anybody else? No. And I close the public hearing, and we have a motion by Supervisor Lockwood Henderson and a second by Supervisor Blomberg. Any further discussion? I'll do a roll call vote since it was a public hearing. Supervisor Tucker,
Yes.
Supervisor Moyer,
Yes.
Supervisor Szymanski,
Yes.
Supervisor Anderson.
Yes.
I've lost my place here. Supervisor Blomberg,
Yes.
Supervisor Lockwood Henderson,
Yes.
Supervisor Conroy, yes. Okay, we've postponed this one until January. We'll find out what the applicants got to say about it, and we'll decide what to do then. Okay, conditional use permit CUP 2424 Sohm Home Occupation Gunsmith.
Morning.
Morning. Roll ahead here. Pages of this thing that I didn't advance.
I think it's up to 60.
Okay, with the computer
doesn't turn on and start itself.
We've gone through about 63 pages in just hardly any time. Okay, so could you let us know what you want to do? And
Yeah, I gave a synopsis briefly at the, when I sent in the application. So I'm looking for a permit to establish a 800 square foot shop. It's gonna be essentially a machine shop, but it has to be a separate location for FFL. I have to have an FFL for the gunsmithing. In this application, I explained it's not gonna be for NFA, which is National Firearms Act, or SOD, Special Occupation Tax. That opens up different doors and requires other stuff. So a SOD, Special Operation Tax, would be for suppressors, class 3 type of stuff. I have no interest in that. Essentially, what I'm looking for is just a machine shop. I've got a mill and a lathe already that an individual has given me, a longtime friend. And so I'm looking at establishing that shop just to do gunsmithing on site. I have no intent of, I will have to have an FFL, but I have no intent of selling anything. I'm not looking to be a storefront. There are already 2 FFLs in town, Cliffs and also Daryl's. They sell guns. I have no interest in that. I'm just looking for repair, update, those things within the FFL.
choke tubes and
Yeah, choke tubes. Right now I'm actually supposed to be in school in the machine shop working and stuff, but we're looking at ability to be able to customize stuff if people want that, but more of pistols, rifles, shotguns, what the area really calls for. And this is kind of more of a shotgun area than it is anything else. So looking at mostly really just fixing and updating stuff. Most of the inquiries I get already, although I'm not a shop and not open and doing business because I don't have my FFL. Most of the calls I'm getting is, hey, I've got this Model 12. It hasn't worked for years. Can you take a look at it? That's what I'm looking at doing.
good, well, that's being someone who has some of that kind of stuff, I can appreciate
And
that.
I'm sure this, I've gotten a couple calls this week already. I've got this Model 12. Can you look at it? It doesn't work. So, yep, absolutely.
So, and your application showed in great detail
Yeah.
the construction that you're gonna have in addition to all that, so it all sounds, would you plan, the one thing we always ask about something like this is, are you planning to have any kind of a rifle range or sighting in range? And
I already have, so go to kind of backstep a little bit. So my background is in law enforcement. Half my time was regular patrol, other half was special operations. I had a training company for 30 years that I just sold last year. And we did everything from basic de-escalation to hostage rescue, explosive entry, those kind of things. And I've got guys that work for me within the 5-state area. So I just told that company. Having that, I had a test range kind of on my property already that I could test stuff. I also worked for a company called the Evans Group, and that was firearms, accessories, those kind of things. And because of that, we worked for Springfield, Surefire, Trigicon, Mossberg, and having that equipment, I needed a facility or be able that I could site things in and do that kind of stuff. I don't have a formal plan for that. If there's any kind of testing that needs to be done at that point, I'm a mile and a half from the Grassford Range. So
I was thinking about that when I looked at your site, you're already close to the gun club.
Yeah, yeah.
And so as far as noise goes, you're not gonna be as noisy as they are.
No.
And the reason we do that though is if a adjoining property owner, would say, well, don't be citing and stuff at 6 a.m. kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's about all.
I probably have more gunfire from my neighbors than I ever do on my own property, so.
Yeah, I get that. I
This
get
is
that.
Burnett County.
You're kind of almost kidding like from our earlier discussion, but you've come in and asked for permits, so you've exposed yourself to some conditions that the neighbors
Right.
aren't. But it's because you're a business,
Right.
so.
Yeah.
And I think that's no expectation of a problem, but it's just a matter of
Yeah.
looking to address it.
The majority of what I will be doing is repairing and then a little bit of test fire. There isn't anything
Sure.
that's gonna be sustained at all.
We all do that.
Yeah.
I buy something used, I take it out and shoot a few shots in my yard to make sure it works before I
Exactly,
still take it back if it doesn't, right?
right, exactly.
No,
Or come see me.
well, that's the next step, right? But anyway, yes, but I just wanted to say that's a kind of, we
Absolutely.
put a condition like that on, but it's because we don't expect that you're gonna not do that, but
Right.
it assures that it's there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's a concern.
Okay, I think I'm done interrogating. Does the committee have any questions further?
Could I just have you state your name, please?
Sure, David Solm, SOHM, sorry.
Thank
Sorry
you.
about that. I should have made
Okay.
you do that.
Justified it enough federal court, so I give that information. I should have done it here, so.
Supervisor
Well,
Palmer.
regarding the meaning of FFL, is that federal firearms license?
Yeah, federal firearms license, and I have to have that in order to effectively receive guns and then transfer back to the owner, those kind of things. It can be for sale, those kind of things, you know, I can transfer under that. And that might be a possibility, but right now the shop that I'm looking to do is gonna be by appointment only. There's not gonna be any parking lot. People shouldn't be showing up. They can do that either online when it's established or by phone call. And like I said, there's not gonna be display cases with stuff. I have no interest in selling guns.
Thank you.
Well, the transfer aspect is good though. Sometimes if you want to sell something and you like to not have it still like in your name, you know?
Exactly, and that's a possibility. You have people that will come in with firearms that are obsolete. There's no parts available right now. Browning's going through that pretty heavy with a lot of their stuff where they're not supplying parts anymore. And so if somebody brings in a gun that's gonna be either too expensive to fix or is obsolete, I can buy that to use as parts for other guns. But I don't want to have display cases. I don't want to have inventory, that kind of stuff. There's other people in Grassford that do that already.
Any further questions?
You can do any like gun cleaning and stuff too?
Yeah, that will probably be the majority of what we look at.
No.
And then from there, a lot of times, people are interested in what do you have for an accessory that can be added to this that's gonna make it better? We're kind of in that phase in school right now of looking at options. And that's the business that I was in, Trigicon, Surefire, those kind of things. So you look at, okay, what is it that's out there that's gonna make it a little bit better, make it easier to use from? So, yes, sir. That would probably be bread and butter.
Right.
Some of those things you take apart, you need 3 extra hands to reassemble.
Yeah, believe me, I know very well, I know.
Any further discussion? Supervisor Tucker.
Yeah, I live in that neighborhood and I know a couple of the neighbors pretty well. But I think it's a great addition to community, and I'm glad to see them doing this. And I go by their house multiple times a day, so very supportive of it, and hope it is approved.
I had a very lengthy talk with Mark Baker about doing this and stuff, and Mark and I talk about once a month or so.
He lives in Texas, you know.
Yeah, he's doing really well. It was the.
He used to do what you do.
Exactly. Well, if I'd have been a smart guy to taken over his business, but I'm not quite that smart, so.
I'm zooming up to get to our conditions.
I didn't see any. Are there conditions anywhere? I didn't see.
There's conditions with everything.
I couldn't find them.
Right here somewhere.
What page?
Want me to read them?
99.
I'll just read them real
Oh,
quick.
99.
Number one, so the conditions that the staff would recommend if you're gonna make an approval. Number one, follow all sign regulations. Number two, lock and chain to be installed on the septic tank by 12/1/2024. Number three, land use permit be obtained for the addition prior to construction. Number four, follow all local, county, state and federal requirements for this activity.
Minimal.
Jason, did you get the pictures I sent you?
I don't think I got the pictures. I got the
sent pictures
email.
of the tank with the locks and
Okay.
pins and everything, so
I
I sent.
saw
them.
you sent an email done or something like that.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, there should
Okay.
be, should have been pictures of it, so.
Often as this happens, I'm thinking we maybe need to send a memo out to the pumpers that they're supposed to block that back up when you're done, because you know.
I don't know.
I have it done every year. I don't wait the 3 years and stuff, just because I think it's good maintenance. And so when they're coming in, it's like, okay, it gets unlocked, doesn't get locked back up. And anyways, I sent you pictures, and if you want, you know.
You know, and it's,
So,
the joke has always been about that from a safety of kid, it takes a mighty strong kid to lift that off and fall in,
Yeah.
but it's happened, you know,
Yeah.
that's why. the
no,
rules are
totally
there.
understand. Totally understand.
So anyway, that's the only thing, and we got that corrected already again. And I think the only other one we might contemplate is you know, sighting in or shooting should not be before like 9 in the morning, something like that.
Being retired, I plan on not getting up before then.
I'd contemplate adding that as a fifth one, simply so that we say we.
Absolutely, got no issues with that at
Not
all.
that I'm worried about it, but
Then an end time in the evening or?
no, it gets dark. You can't shoot in the dark much. I wouldn't be worried too much about that.
Was it not before 6 in the morning? Is that what you were thinking, or?
Let's say 8.
8.
That's more
Fine with
reasonable number. That's okay with you?
That's
You offer-
absolutely fine with me.
You're offering it, and we'll just add
Yeah.
it.
Yep.
Recognize it's not amendment by me or anything.
Yeah, no, I have no issues with that.
Okay. So with that, I'd entertain a motion. Sorry.
Open up.
Yeah, thank you. Things are going so fast today. So I now open the public hearing. Is there any public comment on this issue? I don't see anybody back there, so with no further public hearing comment, we'll close the public hearing, and now I will entertain.
Can I ask another question?
Sure.
So there's always notifications sent out to neighbors and so on and so forth. Did we get any comments back again?
No.
I wouldn't expect we did, but I just want to ask, you know, because
Good question, though. There are no written comments.
No
Normally,
comments from
if they
anyone.
come in time for the packet, of course, Jason puts them in the packet.
Sure.
They can come right till the last minute.
Sure.
You're right to ask them. Normally, we do try to email them out, so you get them in addition to the packet, but no news is no news. So with that,
I'll make a motion.
motion by Supervisor Tucker.
Approve the conditional use permit with the recommendations of not shooting before 8 AM and
With the condition offered by Dale.
yes,
We'll call
you
that,
guys.
but when we discussed about it. So
Second.
second by Supervisor Blomberg. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Supervisor Tucker,
Yes.
Supervisor Moyer,
Yes.
Supervisor Szymanski,
Yes.
Supervisor Blomberg,
Yes.
Supervisor Chuck Anderson,
Yes.
Supervisor Laqua Anderson,
Yes.
Supervisor Conroy, yes. Motion approved. And just again, on the record, it's a 30-day potential for someone to appeal, but you're in effect as far as we're concerned now.
Excellent, perfect. Jason, what do I need to do next?
I will send you a letter, and then, once you just need permit when you go to build the addition.
Okay.
So,
Brian Kmart's doing it, and I think we're kind of pushing on that door of concrete. I don't think we'll have it structure done until probably spring, but we'd like to get concrete in, so.
yeah, so just get the permit in, we'll get it done.
Okay.
ASAP.
Perfect, outstanding.
Yep.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'll be sending notices out when I got a business.
Can't
Thank
answer
you.
his contractor is his neighbor that on the form, so it's obviously approves.
Okay, rezone.
I did a little bit, one other.
Next on the agenda is rezone map 2410 Cohen from RR3 to A2.
Anything like this, so what am I supposed to do?
Just come up and tell us about what you're gonna do, which is a very simple
State your name
request.
too.
Okay, Scott Shonen?
Thank you.
So you're rezoning from RR3
R3 to
A2 in
A2.
order to have some more livestock type of thing.
We do not plan on having any livestock other than maybe 20 chickens at most. Most of our stuff, we're planning on doing some hay. I'm working with Prairie Restorations down in Scandia. We were originally gonna do some hay, corn or hay, and then sunflowers. I'm thinking we're gonna take the hay and the corn and turn that into a restoration of prairie. And then actually add bees to the, well, basically the only livestock would be bees and maybe some chickens. Otherwise, everything else is gonna be agricultural based.
The request you're making, it's from a kind of a recreational residential higher density district to A2 is the opposite of what we usually see and is, absolutely not controversial to do. Looking at the site. So, yeah, you're in a perfect district to hobby farm if you go to A2. And we allow stuff like chickens and whatnot in RR3 through a conditional use, but because it's potentially higher density recreational, we're tighter on it, So this way you can farm to whatever extent 10 acres will support.
Okay.
So, any other questions by the committee? Do we have something from the town of Scott? I didn't.
No, I did not see anything.
Again, it's not in conflict with the plan, it's,
Well, and the neighbor to the south, I think it's got a rezone 6 months ago, maybe, kind of the same thing, went from RR3 to the
it's
A2.
got that little water body on it, but this is not of consequence.
We're not gonna be anywhere near the lake.
And it's, it's just a pretty simple, easily, non-controversial request to, right across the road is the horse farm.
Yeah, and ours actually used to be a horse farm and cornfield. It's basically going back to it.
I kind of noticed, I want to say it was back and I was looking at our packet here the other day and I want to say its property was owned A2 and maybe back in 2005. And then it was rezoned to R3, now it's going back to A2, I think that's what I read.
That could be
Or it might have been his neighbor's property I was looking at, but
one or the other, yeah.
there was also a comment that the water table, there is about 18 inches, there was some concern with that.
I think.
I don't see a concern with that, chickens and things like that.
No, I think that carried through from a different one.
Okay,
And it's.
Yeah, that was from the neighbor to the south.
And I talked about that, you may remember or may not, at that time, I talked about that then, that's based on soil morphology.
Sure.
But it's because it's a real mix up there, tills and stuff.
Okay.
It's not a high water table, it's a seasonal saturation thing.
okay,
Okay.
gotcha.
So I don't have a high water table, because that was one of my questions I had, because I tried finding it online and
No.
I didn't find anything on the GIS.
I looked at the soil series and I did
Right.
discuss what that actually means and that you have to know how to interpret that.
Sure. Well, I think we gotta celebrate when people wanna restore property and raise their own food and all those things. We gotta make that as easy as possible for people.
Couldn't be less controversial,
Right,
right? I
that's
mean,
a great thing what he's doing.
Anyway, I'm gonna open the public hearing. And there's no one here to speak to the public hearing, so I will close the public hearing. Any further discussion by the committee? Hearing none, entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the conditional use permit.
Supervisor Tucker,
Rezone.
motion.
Rezone, I'm sorry.
Zone, yep, and then
Rezone
it's
A2 from R2.
recommendation to county board, because then that goes to county board.
Yes, yes, this is a recommendation from county board. This is a chain and lock one too.
Yeah, but I got their pictures.
Yes,
that
my
they
dad
got
took
there.
pictures and sent it to Jason over the weekend, so.
And then
Thank you, Jason, for the clarification.
Oh, yeah, not a problem.
yeah, I was moving along too fast because it's so easy today. But anyway, yeah, motion by Supervisor Tucker, do I have
I'll
a second
second
by
it.
Supervisor Moyer? Any further discussion on the motion?
And then correspondence.
No correspondence, same as before. I said, this is almost too easy, and these are so good, but yes. Take a roll call vote, Supervisor Moyer, or I'm sorry, Tucker,
Yes.
Supervisor Moyer,
Yes.
Supervisor Szymanski,
Yes.
Supervisor Lomberg,
Yes.
Supervisor Chuck Anderson,
Yes.
Supervisor Karen Lockwood Anderson,
Yes.
Supervisor Connery, yes. Motion to approve recommendation to county board. The county board will do this in November. right?
Yep, and you don't have to be at the county board meeting. I'll
Okay.
go there on your behalf.
The reason I said what the question was, it's coming up quickly because it's a statutorily prescribed Tuesday instead of Thursday, and it's short time. So sometimes you'd have to put it off a month, but we don't have to here, so.
What Tuesday do we think?
And yeah, if the county board will approve it, your map will be amended, will be all done.
So we'll just send you a letter when it's all approved.
Okay,
And I don't see any issue with it at county board, so it'll be done.
thank you all. Have a great day.
The county board meeting would be a week from today, actually.
Yeah, that's why I was a little uncertain. we
I
would
could
be
be
able to-
there if I had to.
No, you don't.
Very flexible.
You don't. The question was, normally it's on a Thursday instead of a Tuesday, but this is a state law prescribed date for county board twice a year.
Okay.
And because of that, and it's only a week, you know, how our meeting would fall, sometimes it can't get on the agenda in time. But we've got the resolutions drawn, it's ready to go, it'll be on the agenda, so it'll be fine. So, okay.
All right, thank you.
Conditional use permit 2425 Long Lake MHAC Limited Liability Corporation to modify the size of the parcel for the manufactured home community in RR.
And at this point, I'm gonna recuse myself because I'm an adjoining landowner.
I do have the applicant on Zoom.
Okay, applicant is present on Zoom.
Good morning.
There he is. Okay. So we called your request to come, not come forward, but just run a quick explanation as to what's gonna happen here.
Sure. Currently, the mobile home park sits on about, depending on the survey, 55 to 60 acres. And my intent is just to reduce the size of the actual park itself down to about 26 acres. There's a lot of empty woods and empty land that's just not being utilized at all and doesn't really make sense to be part of the park itself. So in a nutshell, that's kind of what this request is for.
And then you probably will create some buildable lots for residential development out of that at some point.
I will, yeah. The intent is to build or section off a couple lake lots and then a couple lots that are in the woods. Working with a local surveyor, the lots would range from the smallest being an acre and a half up to 4.8 acres on the lake, and then 12 acres and 2.5 acres on the wooded area.
We have a proposed map in our packet. So that looks, the one question I have, and I've got no issue here, but it shows is it as proposed lot number 4, the mobile home park?
Yes.
Home community. So it's gonna be there'll be one map of the entire manufactured home community then, one parcel?
Yes.
Okay. I was looking through that, it's sort of like old lot lines from some out there or something that confused me a little bit. But to make sure we were approving a mapped boundary when we do this.
Yeah, so lot 4 would be the mobile home park, and then that would be 29.2 acres.
Okay, that's well in excess of what our minimum requirements are. And so, any further questions by the rest of the committee in this? If there are no further questions by the committee, I'll open the public hearing. Is anyone here to speak to that? And online or in the empty chairs and out there? Since there's no further public comment, I will close the public hearing and bring it for committee discussion further.
There was a letter in your packet from the Siren Town Board. They discussed it on September 12th. The applicant was in attendance. The board approved the request dependent on any additional conditions and or changes made to the original application prior to land use meeting. It is assumed that the owner will follow all local, county, state, and federal requirements for this activity. That was the only correspondence that we have.
And then this is, again, looking at the comprehensive plan for the town of Siren, this is consistent with that, I would think. The future plans for the rest of the property would development density and consistent with what their plan shows. So there's no issue with that, I would think. We have a ton of permits out there already. Generally, it's in compliance with sanitary stuff, correct?
Yeah, other than the locks and chains, like everywhere.
I'm beginning to think that the pumpers are being not bothering to put it back. But I could be. Who else would want to open it after all? So considering approval, you have mentioned there's a shoreline restoration access corridor.
Yeah, I thought putting that on there because he's basically taking a lot of the lakeshore away from the mobile home park and gonna be putting it to residential now. So the part that's left is essentially almost mowed all the way down to the ordinary high water mark.
So the parcel,
chunk,
the new
lot
parcel,
4.
the new parcel would not be in compliance.
Yes,
With all as one parcel, it would
it
be.
was,
But
yes,
now it would create a non-conforming parcel for
correct,
under the
Yes.
state guidance.
yes.
So you understand what we're talking about there?
Not the specific details. In principle, I understand, shoreline restoration, but not the specific details that would be involved.
It would just involve some tree planting in the first 35 feet, leaving a pretty big opening yet. But just screening it a little bit from the water and providing a little more habitat. The guidance,
Sure.
the law has changed. It used to be you could only have 30 feet no matter how many feet you had of frontage.
Mhm.
Now that's changed to proportionality of third can be open, correct?
Up to 200 feet. Yeah.
Up to a maximum of 200 feet, but you can still have a really big area. But you should let it kind of go back to wild on either side of where you want to have the access corridor.
Okay, that's something I need to look at, and it might be picking hairs here, but I have about a 20-foot section that is open to the lake, and otherwise there's tall brush, 10-foot or small trees along the entire water frontage currently.
Yeah, that's
but
that's below the ordinary high water mark, so that's stuff that's in the water,
Okay.
which is good. But then on the upland side, there's supposed to be vegetation back that distance from the ordinary high water mark, so.
Okay, and because
Emily-
of the surveys moving that high water mark, because I'm losing about 5 acres total due to the change in that high water mark. So currently the high water mark is much further out, and I've got about 5 acres that is going to be lost due to the new survey. So I'd have to.
Yeah, I saw Doug Crane's comment on that. He thinks that originally was probably from the original government survey protraction of the
Yeah,
section.
Mhm.
Bear in mind, in 1856, they didn't care. They just didn't want to get their feet wet, So, but it also looks like there may have been lower lake levels around that, so they could have been out in what we would call a wetland fringe that's still in the lake bed, but they called it dry land. You just never know what they did. They were not held to any kind of standard that we look at today.
Mhm.
So, I mean, this, again, it's just a matter of benign neglect. I don't think you have to do much more than plant a few trees and not mow on the
Sure.
upland. On either
Within
side
35 feet of the high water mark.
of the high ground, yeah, the edge of the high
Yeah.
ground, back 35 feet.
And
Yeah,
Emily,
that's reasonable.
Emily Moore in our conservation division, she'd be more than happy to meet with you out there to like go
Mhm.
over, you know, she could help you lay out spots where you want to keep it open or not, so.
Yeah, I'd be
That's-
definitely in favor of all that.
Okay, good. We'll conclude that condition. It's really kind of beneficial for the mobile home park too, to have some kind of natural area there.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I should be calling it a manufactured home community because that's what it is now, right?
Yeah, no worries. Yeah. Mobile homes haven't existed since the late 70s, but yeah.
Exactly. We should call it what it really is. It sounds better anyway.
Yeah.
So, having said that, I think we all understand what we're looking at doing here then. And then
So
there's a couple
I'll
of-
just read the conditions real quick for you guys.
Go ahead.
Number one was shoreline to be restored to meet the current standard for viewing access corridor width by 10/1/2025. Number two is shed at address 7411 to be moved off the neighbor's property by 5/1/2025. That's shown on the survey map, that one shed there. Number three, land use permits to be obtained prior to any manufactured home being replaced, expanded or modified. And then number four, follow all local, county, state and federal requirements for this activity.
Any further discussion? Supervisor Anderson returning here in a minute and we can hold off. We could, rather than have him not get in on the some motion. Public hearing? Already closed that. Opened and closed it because there's nobody here to talk. Not one person, but you're just a spectator, right? I mean Supervisor Anderson recused herself, but we had missing both Supervisor Andersons. So if, we'll maybe just pause for a moment.
There he comes.
Okay. So with no further discussion, I would entertain a motion to on this matter.
I'll make a motion to approve Cup 24-25 with the 4 conditions stated from the staff. I don't think we have to read them again, Jason, just
Well, we've read them into the records, so. Okay, I have a motion by Supervisor Szymanski. Is there a second? Second by Supervisor Anderson. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Supervisor Tucker,
Yes.
Supervisor Moyer,
Yes.
Supervisor Szymanski,
yes.
Supervisor Blomberg,
Yes.
Supervisor Chuck Anderson.
Yes.
Supervisor Karen Aqua Anderson has recused herself. Supervisor Conroy, yes. Motion is carried. So Jason will be sending you a letter.
Yep, I'll send you a letter and then you can get a hold of your surveyor, you know, tell him it was approved so he can get rolling on getting the maps recorded for doing your splits and all that stuff, so.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you all so much. I appreciate it.
And on to the last one, conditional use permit 2426 Dobler camper for 3 years and RR1.
Morning, Jeff Doppel, landowner. And I do have a chain and lock on my septic system. I didn't know it was such a big deal. I was wondering why it was there.
Your pumper has obviously locked it back up when he's done.
Actually, I haven't pumped yet. I'm at my 3-year mark, so I need to do
That
that.
explains it, but tell
Jason,
him,
Jason and I have talked about that.
tell him to lock it when he's done.
Yes.
Nobody else needs to get into those things, right?
Is that a generic? I mean, off the record, I
It's a
guess.
state, it's a state code.
I mean, do they have a key to
Yeah,
the lock?
yeah,
Okay.
they, actually, the
'Cause I don't think
lock,
I do.
the locks are all keyed with the same key.
Okay.
They buy them, you know, so that they don't have to have 300 keys.
Yeah, makes sense.
They have
I know
a
when,
key.
yeah, when Wade installed it, I don't even know if I got a key. I might have somewhere.
A lot of times they'll leave a key, sometimes they'll even just leave the key in the lock. You know, it's
Yeah.
not very
I don't
secure,
think I've
but
seen that,
whatever.
yeah.
No, there is an alternative to locks, and that's the manhole covers that are screwed down,
Yeah.
but the pumpers hate them.
Mhm.
Because that's, you know, and it
And this
used to
stuff never
be,
rusts, yeah.
it used to have a code compliant or approved tank with a metal cover and a ring. And if they didn't have the key to that, a crescent wrench could unscrew the bolt, just open it from the inside. But those weren't technically code compliant because they weren't monolithic material. Concrete tanks are supposed to have concrete lids, and the weight should be a discouragement for most people to open it just to see what's in there, right? But you know, but anyway, it is what it is, but they should be locked because of the danger of a couple of things. Somebody pouring something in it that they shouldn't, or kid
Kids,
getting in,
yeah.
screwing around, and when those covers sometimes with bad design that would deteriorate and they would suddenly hinge like a garbage can. Somebody stepped on it, poop into the tank they went, you know. There's a reason for safety. It seems absurd that anybody would want to open it besides a pumper, but you know. So there, you got my
Sorry, I
seminar.
took the committee down the proverbial manhole cover.
That's all right. I'd like to give that lecture every now and then. just-
Okay.
So you proceed with your request. You want to have on Warner Lake.
Yes, sir.
You've had a camper for a while and you'll continue to have one. 2 more
Yes,
years?
sir. I'm asking for an extension on my original 3-year cup, 4646 Whitetail on Warner Lake. Spent the last 3 years doing improvement to the property. Haven't built yet, but fully intend to build. Obviously the cost of construction and the fact that I got laid off from my job and now trying to figure out whether I'm gonna retire or continue to work part-time has made a financial impact on our house building decision, but we have, as we just talked about, full 4-bedroom septic system installed, permanent power, permanent water, 130-foot dock, storage shed, access road. What else have we done? General improvements to the property, so it's ready to be built as soon as I figure out the finances. So I'm asking for an extension. I have talked to Dan, I think it's Champion at ABD.
Campion.
Yeah. And had some original drafts put up of some housing and talked to Dwayne Hafe, I think it is.
Yep.
Who's a friend of a builder, local builder. I'm sure you may know him. I don't. Obviously, I live in the cities. I'm not from the local area. He's a friend of my neighbor to the south, Pat Kremen. So we walked the property and came up with some suggestions and drew up a couple of plans and did some costing, and it was quite a bit more than I was able to spend, let's say, at the time. So like 800,000. So like, okay, I'm gonna wait a little bit. So my wife and I have to figure out how to downsize the plans and come up with financing. To be quite blunt with you, I plan on selling our current house where we're at and retiring and moving here. I don't know that my wife's fully on board with that plan yet. She doesn't want to be as far away from grandkids. And no offense to the local economy, but she says, I can't get in a car and drive 10 minutes to go to my Target store. So I had that to deal with.
You could get to a Dollar General.
That's what I told her. Let's go to Dollar General. Let's go to Menards. Let's go to Pine City or, so anyhow.
Yeah, truthfully, Pine City has most of those
Right,
things,
they got everything.
you know,
So,
so it's not that, you don't,
including my Pizza Hut that I stop at to
there you go.
pick up to go. So So yes, I'm asking for an extension. I've talked to Jason a couple of times. I have, I think, one outstanding permit issue that I need to resolve on a retaining wall. Which, honestly, I didn't know was an issue, but I need to deal with that. So open to any other questions. Last time I did the permit, it was during COVID, so first time I've been to a meeting, so
It looks like you.
not even sure what I'm doing.
You have a path to resolving that retaining wall issue.
Yeah,
It sounds like.
it can- it'll be
From the
permitted.
granted. That part.
I don't know what my next steps are, but Jason said he and I would chat through that and we have
That,
until spring or something to deal with it.
yeah, there's a way forward on that. Now, just to treat you like we treat everyone else.
Yep.
We're not trying to get people to move from the camper to the building at a reasonable rate. We do extend them, but we aren't gonna guarantee we'll extend it again after 2 or 3 times. Sure. We understand, the cost of things and trying to do it right, moving up here and, just explain to your wife, lots of people have gone through that and they've survived it,
Exactly.
And so, it'll be fine, but.
I'm sure it will.
Understand that the rationale is that we want to provide you the opportunity to use the property as soon as you own it.
Right.
Until you can build, but ultimately, it's in all of our interests, including yours, to eventually build.
Sure. And that's the plan. I know my wife's decision in part probably is also when she retires. So she's a nurse practitioner actually, and she's getting tired of working, but feels she has to support me in the lifestyle I've grown accustomed to. So
There's a really, really nice facility, just
That's what I
like
keep saying, sit-
in Webster there.
every time I drive by Grantsburg or even Spooner, I said there's always help wanted signs at the hospitals and the clinics and so. But the neighbor to our north, that wife just announced her retirement in January, so the two of them get along really well.
That'll help.
My guess is that will help, yes, so.
Okay, I'm gonna open the public hearing and close it really quickly because there is no one here.
Cause you saved the best for last.
Save the best for last. You have no idea how lucky you are today that this went this fast.
Really? Okay.
Really, yes. Okay, anyway, so the further discussion by the committee, and we've looked through what he's proposing. He's asking for a 3-year extension. This is his second one.
So this will
First
be,
extension.
this will be years 4, 5, and 6.
Yes.
I
More
think-
clear.
I think my own opinion is within what we have granted before, the second time.
Not over that, but he's got a big sewer system in, he's got a well in, he's got, so he is making progress. It's not
Yes.
like he's just living in a motorhome.
It's sort of the ones we've been working on are the ones that haven't done anything, or just continuing to use the camper. You're in the path, we agree.
Yeah, we spent a lot of money on the
I
property.
would be unfair to everybody else if I would not remind you that, there's a time that we might say, no, you're not gonna get any more extensions.
Understood.
This is not that time, in my opinion. Go ahead, Supervisor Tucker.
Yeah, to me, just like Supervisor Anderson mentioned, he's got a septic, he's got a well. We don't have any complaints from adjacent landowners. He's not causing a decline in property values or assessed values for the township. Sure, be a greater asset to the township if he did build, but I would have no problem renewing this over and over again if there hasn't been a problem with any of those things. I mean, he owns the property, pays the taxes on it. Why would we tell them that, oh, this might be the last time we approve it? Now, there's no negative impact from it at all.
No, I'm just saying that
I'm very much in favor of it.
I don't disagree for this one this time, but I'd say they're not all the same.
You want to be consistent with how you treat everyone else. I get that.
Yeah, I mean, if they're not, also, the other people aren't causing a decline in property values, they're not causing, a big problem for the community and all that. I'd approve it over and over again with that kind of conditions he has. So that's my comment.
Well, I can tell you my assessment went up 63% from last year to this.
Yeah,
So someone's recognized that the property has more value.
they do, those are improvements, septics and wells and.
No, everybody else's did though too. My
So-
assessed
so they'll
value
tell
went
you-
up over double, so.
Yeah.
But that just means this, probably our mill rate will go in half or what have you, so but I'm very
very much in favor of what you guys want.
Good, thank you.
Anyway, I don't think any of us have an issue here. But I'm trying to be fair and consistent,
Yep.
understand.
Sounds good.
And I'd entertain a motion.
One more question on that. You can move the patio, but not the retaining wall.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Does he need a special permit for that retaining wall, or is he supposed to disassemble it?
No, it can be permitted.
Okay, that's.
Yep.
Yeah, it just requires a permit.
Yep.
Yeah, which I
That's
failed to
the way I read
do. Yeah, I didn't know I had to do that.
And he's. and
Well,
he's-
that's the
and
one
he's-
you're trying to get to.
And he knows that he has to pump his system this year and that's why his tank is still locked. 'Cause no one's gonna open
Right.
it.
I started with that. Actually, I talked to Wade a couple weeks ago and he said about pumping. He's like, you do not want to pump in the fall.
No,
Yeah.
absolutely not, because you're not using enough water. And
He didn't tell me why, but it
Could
makes
freeze up.
sense. The experts
No.
that don't do it, so.
no, there's a little, there's a matter of warmth and secure and that stuff to keep the bio community in there alive and all that stuff. So no.
But
Wait till
while we're
spring.
on the subject, I still legally required to pump even though it's not being used that much.
Well, it's not like you're gonna go to zoning jail, so, but yeah, it's a 3-year thing, no matter how.
We do the same thing. I live in Ham Lake and we have the same
Well,
requirement.
It's a 3-year, no matter if it's seasonal use or full
And
time.
then, and there is, the truth is, if you could get somebody credentials to come out and inspect it and say it doesn't need to be pumped, but you'll pay more to that guy than pumping it.
Mhm.
Then it's to pump.
So people
Yes.
just pump it, you know.
Okay.
I've done.
No worries.
I used to inspect my own and send it back and say, because I had the credentials.
Oh.
It
So I-
didn't need it.
I would just call the pumper and get on their list for the spring,
Okay.
you know. and-
No, exactly. It's, people don't understand how much water they use even when they don't think they're using much. True. And so
Understood.
it's just a matter of maintenance. Maintenance program keeps it from failing on you. It's more than it, this is gonna hurt anybody but you if you don't, really.
And there's a filter in there that they clean when they come and pump it, so.
That's that too, yeah. So. Anyway, yes,
I'm curious, what's the filter business all about?
To keep the solids out of the drain field.
Like cotton
Particles.
swabs and whatever?
no,
I
one
would
eighth
hope
inch,
none of that stuff is in
Yeah,
there,
they-
because
they
you're not
better not
supposed to
be
be
down there, yeah.
dumping that stuff.
it's like 1/8 inch
1/8 inch holes.
particles are
Yep.
contained and they collect on if everything works right, they collect on the filter and slough off into the tank. When they pump it and they take a hose and rinse that, they're a kind of a plastic plate filter type of thing typically, then a cartridge inside, pull it up, rinse it off. I used to tell people, take it down to the lake and rinse it off on the
Swish
dock.
it in water.
But and I have to remind people, I'm just kidding, don't
Yeah,
believe
it's
it.
a joke. I'm joking, people.
So has that been a feature of septic systems all along?
1980. 1980,
1980, okay.
I believe, right?
Somewhere in there, yeah, it's
That's a long
been
time.
longer than I've been in this business, so, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was again, a product to make sure stuff stays in, and I've seen cases where they've prevented a catastrophic failure. By somebody doing something stupid like dumping a turkey fryer into the septic tank or something. And clogged up with grease and it didn't get to the drain field, which would have really been bad. Like, so anyway, way off the subject. We have a motion and a second. Right?
Make a motion to approve CUP 24-26 with the 3 conditions listed by the staff. We read those ones already.
I haven't read them, I'll read them real quick. The sanitary system will be serviced and reported to the county by 5/1/2025. Retaining wall to be resolved by 5/1/2025. Follow all local, county, state and federal requirements for this activity.
Okay, we have a motion by Supervisor Mansky, second by Supervisor Anderson.
And correspondence was
None.
none.
So, no any further discussion on the motion and second? Roll call vote, Supervisor Tucker,
Yes.
Supervisor Boyer,
Yes.
Supervisor Szymanski,
Yes.
Supervisor Blumberg,
Yes.
Supervisor Chuck Anderson,
Yes.
Supervisor Karen Locke Anderson,
Yes.
Supervisor Conrad, yes, motion's carried. So 3 more years for sure.
Thank you, supervisors.
And keep us updated when you're ready to
I'll
start
be talking to
eliminating.
Jason about my dues. And maybe even let you know my wife decides to do. Thank you. Happy election day.
Thank you.
Me too.
Good afternoon. Yep.
Gonna pass around that resolution for that Conan one, if you guys could sign that.
Yes, good plan. Start before we all jump up to run out. And we're on to. Reports.
Yeah, so the reports are in there, what staff's been working on, budget reports in there, there's nothing really out of line. As far as the budget goes, revenues are over what we anticipated. We're fully staffed now, we had 2 people start on October 28th. So getting those guys trained up, it should be good time now that we'll slow down hopefully a little bit if we have a normal winter. Get them all trained up.
Get them up to speed.
Up to speed for spring. Permit numbers are in there, see lots, 1,544 so far this year.
Looks like we'll be closing in on 300 sanitary.
Yep,
permits.
273 sewers so far, so we'll probably hit 300. Yeah, plugging away. The world usually shuts down during Holy Week here, so we got a few more weeks.
It seems odd that it's as late as it is considering how warm it's seasonally, but.
Yeah.
So there's nothing stopping. I mean, I've seen years when roads were okay now, right? Too much snow, frost, whatever, not even close.
Yep. Yeah, so nothing else exciting.
Future agenda items. Anything?
I think we were gonna have the enforcement discussion, I believe, in December. Yep, so that'll be on there.
Karen had made a suggestion earlier, and I didn't think to add it to the one we did today about buffer restoration. Perhaps we should not only have to restore it, but to maintain it as a condition.
Well, usually we follow up. Emily usually follows up on those to make sure they're
Sure that they're being done.
still maintained, yeah.
And that's something that I could have added that. I didn't think of it, frankly.
Now, the people that are signed up for the SIP program, the one where they get the $50 check per year, those ones, they get, every time that land changes ownership, they get a letter saying, hey, new owner, just remember, that your parcel's enrolled in this program. It shows up in their title work, but for some reason, people don't see that all the time. So, and those get regularly followed up for sure, the ones that are in the SIP program.
I just like the idea on some of the conditions, like if we're asking for screening or, because if it gets sold, does the next person realize they need to establish and maintain?
Yeah.
And if at some point they want to contest that, then I suppose they could come back, but I just kind of like to know that it somehow follows through, that it's written that establish and maintain. I think I would like that to become kind of a practice on some of the conditions.
Anyway, that we can talk about that more as part of enforcement, because that's what that would come into. But anyway, we'll continue with that. Next meeting will be the 3rd of December. And do we have much coming?
Oh, what was there? I could look real quick here. I want to say. Like 2 of them for next month, pavilion, church pavilion, and animals and residential.
Okay. We'll have some time to do the
Yes.
enforcement discussion then.
Yep.
Anything further? Maybe? With that, then I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
I have one question.
Oh, go ahead.
So if we want to attend the meeting, would you have the ability to call in to be in attendance for the meetings if we're not in town?
Yeah.
Did we call the same number, or is that how it goes?
It's on, I've never done it, but it's on.
You've called in a few times, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you've done it too.
Okay, that's acceptable to attend in that way?
Yes, yes.
And you can either Zoom or you can do it on the phone.
Okay.
Now, it's no different for supervisor than it would be for an applicant, kind of, you know, you're present, especially with Zoom, you're an active participant in every way, really.
Now with Zoom, then you have the video
Yeah.
as well.
Like what happened today.
And I know that's going to just be a discussion, but just for purposes of not discussing things outside of a meeting that we shouldn't be, it wouldn't be specific to any, you know, because I would like to pick the brains of certain people to just expand my understanding of, it's like, you know, why do you feel this way? Why, I mean, just to expand. And so, but having those discussions with people, we're not discussing a
As long as-
specific,
I think we could discuss things we've already decided,
okay.
but not things that are on our, any kind of agenda or application pending.
Yeah, and I mean, we can throw our corp counsel under the bus. I don't think it probably wouldn't be appropriate to speak specific cases without the person kind of being told we're discussing their case.
So a discussion of, you know, previous thoughts or feelings on previously decided matters, in a small basis, or general categories of, you know, what do you think about campground or not campgrounds, campers permits being extended in general without speaking to a specific case? That have been decided in the past, I think is okay. In terms of if it's a future agenda item, that's where you run into trouble if you're discussing, a future agenda item with too many people or in too much depth, because then it could be, depending on if there's enough people at the meeting, it could become a quorum, and it gets very messy with some of those things if too many people are discussing a future agenda item and making decisions about how they're going to vote or what position they're going to take. Asking questions or saying, I'd like to hear about these sorts of things, and coming up with those sorts of plans is certainly okay. Reaching out with, you be prepared to speak on this topic, to myself or Jason, would be okay as well. But if it's gonna be a future agenda item or a future application or permit, be careful not to discuss it in particularity or depth, or with too many people outside of the meeting.
So like an example, I would, like, let's say there was a campground request coming up. We wouldn't want to dive into the specific details of that campground in our discussion, because it looked like we're essentially predetermining the decision about it. But general discussions about, you know, how do we do this enforcement or this type of enforcement or this type of enforcement, that's all fine.
And maybe just general policy matters, like why, kind of like today, kind of why do we say, where did the notion that we don't want to keep approving campers forever come from, kind of thing? That's in general, that applies to them all, not a specific one. But as an example.
I know I frustrate other supervisors because I restrict my conversations regarding land use issues to Jason and also the Corp Council, and that's it.
Yeah, that's what, you know, and there's an awful lot of cases, case laws, and how some of these decisions and policies came to light. And we tend to follow that as guidance until something happens and changes it, right? So that's some of it too. So, with that, motion to adjourn.
So move.
Supervisor Anderson, second.
I'll second it.
Supervisor Moyer, all in favor?
Aye.
You're adjourned.
Hey, how are you?
Pretty good, how about you?
Good, you staying out of trouble?
Trying to.
What's Kevin feel about